Hello students, I'm Professor Plínio Monteiro and this video is aimed to explain what are the hierarchical modes for entering into a new market. Hierarchical modes are those where the firm will own and control the foreign operations of the entire new business in the target market. In that case, you allow the company a lot of influence and control, but also the risk to use this approach is the higher level compared to the last ones. The types of hierarchical modes can be defined as the following: domestic-based representatives, resident sales representatives, foreign sales subsidiary, sales and production subsidiary, and region centers. Let's look to the most basic hierarchical modes that are the domestic-based sales representatives or resident sales representatives, foreign sales branch, or even the foreign sales subsidiary. So the domestic-based sales representatives is basically when you have your employee working in your home country, they live there, they work in home country, but then from time to time they go abroad to find some opportunities, to try to find some business in foreign countries. In that case, it's considered a hierarchical entry mode because your own people will travel abroad and make the conditions and make the contracts and negotiate with foreign potential buyers, and then you have a lot of control. But you're not really compromising, you're not really investing a lot of money in these foreign operations. In the case of resident sales representatives, or these other examples, basically you have people that works for your business, your company, but they live in the foreign market. They live in another country. They can be one expatriate, someone that belongs to your home country. He or she is a citizen of your home country, but then they can live there in the foreign market for a lot of time, and then they live there trying to make sales in that country. This can be a very simple case of having just some people living there, so you have one or two employees working abroad, or you can have a foreign sales branch where you have more people, you have an office, some small office, or you can have a foreign sales subsidiary. It's a full company with many functions like marketing and law and so on. And this office, this foreign sales subsidiary, will make a lot of sales and market activities abroad. In that case, your sales function is really transferred to the foreign market. This implies that you have a lot of commitment from your business, and also you can have more customer commitment than using just domestic-based sales. As you can see, basically the domestic-based sales representatives, this approach is less resource demanding than for instance, if you compare with these other alternatives like the resident sales representatives, foreign sales branch, or foreign sales subsidiary. The advantages of the domestic-based sales representatives can be named as: you can have better control than to use, for instance, a broker or export buying agent. And also, you can have a more close contact with customers. The disadvantage is that you have a lot of costs for traveling. Even with internet, usually you need to have business meetings and you need to be there. Of course, during some periods of time, this is not possible. But it's usual to have these travels to establish trust with your customers. And also, if you're very far away, it can be very costly to establish, to pay the travels and the hotels and so on. And what are the advantages and disadvantages of foreign sales and production subsidiaries? The advantages: you have full control of your operation. You can have control of marketing, control of production. You can have greater market access since you are producing and selling in that country. You can have a more broad access to the market. Also, you can learn more about the market conditions, about the consumer behavior and the environment, a marketing environment that can affect your business. Also, you can have lower costs for transportation because you're producing and selling in the target market. And also, in some sectors, you can have access to raw materials, like in the oil sector or in the mining sector. And these advantages. First, you need to invest a lot of money to start your business. Of course, you're going to lose some flexibility because of that. Once you invested your money, it will be very hard for you to leave that market without losing your investments. These represent a higher level of risk, meaning that once you make this decision, you're going to accept a greater risk for your business. Also, you can have some taxation problems, especially when you try to return your profit to the home market, to your headquarters. Some countries will impose some limitations and some currency problems to avoid companies to transferring the money from host country to home country. And what is a subsidiary and foreign branch? What are the differences? First, a subsidiary is a local company owned and operated by a foreign company under the laws and taxation of the host country. Suppose that a multinational company tries to establish a business in Brazil, and then they create a business in Brazil. They create a company in Brazil. This will be a subsidiary since this company belongs to the multinational company. In the case of the foreign branch, it's basically essential of a legal part of the manufacturer usually. So basically, you don't have a local company. You don't have a company in Brazil. It's basically a foreign company operating in Brazil as an extension of the multinational company that exists in some developed country. And usually, in that case, taxation of profits will be in the country where you manufacture the product, because basically you have there a foreign branch that you sell the products, but the production it's basically in the home country. I can give you an example. For instance, IBM or Microsoft, they have foreign branches for sales. So they have operations here, they have some customer assistance, but they are some of them can be companies like for assistance. They can have a business here, but most the production itself, the softwares, they are developed in United States, and then they have these foreign branches that are extensions of the company in the United States, and they use that just for selling the product. But basically, if you try to buy the product, usually you need to pay to buy it in the United States. Or you buy in Brazil, paying a lot of taxes because it's not a local product that you're buying. And finally, what is a regional center? Basically, it's a regional red quarter. It's a lead. You have, for instance, a regional red quarter in Brazil or in Latin America or Latam headquarters, and they will have a role in helping this coordination and the stimulation of sales in different regions, the sales of productions in different regions in the world. And what are the advantages of the region centers? First, you have synergies on regional and global scale. So big and multinational companies need to have these regional centers to operate fully in many different countries in regions in the world. You can achieve better scale efficiency because you can sell more products and you can use more resources and share the resources in each region to establish more competitive advantages. Also, you can learn with cultural differences, with your experiences in different regions and different countries in the world, and you can use that to leverage your knowledge on how to operate globally. And what are the disadvantages? First, you can have a lot of bureaucracy since you have a very big business with many different local headquarters. And you can have also sometimes it can create some difficulties for answering fast to change to local changes in the market. So if you have a regional headquarter, then sometimes you need to wait the answer from the headquarter, from the local CEO to say if you need to adapt your strategy given something that is happening in the market. And finally, you can start missing communication between the regional centers and the global headquarters. And this can lead the company to lose the potential advantages of having different regional centers. Usually, we have the term of a transactional company to refer to a company that integrates and coordinates operations across many different national boundaries in order to achieve the synergies and global scales. Many of them will operate with hierarchical entry modes, especially with regional centers or subsidiaries. In some sectors, like the service sector, it's very common to use franchising or licensing, but the idea is that this company will have direct efforts in many countries in the world to operate and to have a huge presence in global markets. Suppose that you're choosing to enter with your own subsidiary into a target market. Then you also have two alternatives. First, you can acquire a company in the target market. In that case, you can, in a very short period of time, you can start having contact with customers. And then, usually big firms will buy the smaller firms to enter in these markets. In Brazil, the biggest companies, multinational companies, basically they are entering into foreign markets by this approach since the beginning of 2002 and until 2012 before the corruption scandals in Brazil, like the car wash, the Lava Jato scandal. And companies like Odebrecht, companies like JBS, they are basically receiving a lot of money from governments to buy companies all over the world. So they are buying small companies, and then these companies become very internationalized companies, of course, and sad to say, they were using our money to become a multinational company. And another way to enter into foreign markets is to use what we call the greenfield. In that case, you're going to start your business from the scratch. It's basically when you start the operations from the ground, when you don't have, usually when you don't have a good small company to acquire, then you need to start everything by yourself. It's very costly, very risky, and this is the most difficult, the most risk entry mode, the most risky entry mode. And also, it's the one that can give you greater profits in the long run. So let's take a look on the advantages and disadvantages of using acquisition for establishing your subsidiary. First, the advantages. You have quick access to distribution channels, so you have direct access to the distributors, to the retailers. You can have access to the labor force, the people that you need to operate your business. You can keep the management experience. Also, you can have a very fast way to acquire local knowledge and local contacts. And also, you can use established brands to establish your business in the foreign market. And what are the disadvantages? It can be very expensive in some cases. Also, you have the risk that you can buy a company and then you can be unable to run the business with the local employees, and this can represent a huge risk in the acquisition. And finally, you can have many different integration problems, like when you try to merge the culture of your business with the culture of the company that you're acquiring, and the difference in the way that people believe, the way that they run the business, the way that they work, this can represent a really huge risk for for the company that is planning to acquire another one. And to finish, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of greenfield investment. The advantages: you can find the best format that you want. What is your choice? How you want to run this business? Also, you can find the best mix of the technology that will fit to your needs. And the disadvantage, basically, it's very costly. It's the most costly entry mode. And also, usually it's a very slow entry mode, especially if you have actual or you have opportunities in the short period of time. This can be very time consuming until you start having profit with this opportunity. And because of that, it's a very slow entry mode, and this disadvantage can be very important nowadays since things are changing very fast. To wrap up, let's look to the value chain considerations in terms of different hierarchical entry modes. Let's start with the home country, with the domestic sales representatives, or using your manufacturer's own sales force. In that case, all your value chain activities like research development, production, marketing, and sales, you do everything in home country. And then you go to some people that belong to your sales force, go to the target market to sell to the target market. In the case of the resident sales representatives, sales subsidiary or sales branch, everything related to the research and development, production, and marketing, you do everything of these activities in home country. But then you're going to have sales representatives in the foreign market to deliver the products there. In the sales and production subsidiary, what is the difference? In that case, the research, you develop the technology, the business process in the home country, and also you create the marketing of your business in home country. But then you have a subsidiary in the target market that will produce your services or products, and also you will sell the products in the target market. The region-centrist, you can have two variants, two alternatives. The first alternative, you can have the research and development and the production in home country, and then you can have a headquarters just for sales and marketing in the target market. Or you can have what we call a fully fledged insider. In that case, all activities of your foreign operations will be done in the target market. So you're going to develop the products, you're going to produce, you're going to develop the marketing, and then you're going to sell the product, everything in the target market. And finally, you can have a transactional company that will have a merge of the company identity with some activities in the home country and some activities in the host country, in the target market, and then they are going to share some elements of the corporate identity and personnel and staff, and also some elements of research and development and finance to bring together activities from home country and host country in order to achieve the best results in each market that the company is operating. With this explanation, we finish the content of the lecture 11. So this is it. See you in the next video. Bye.